You know, she'll make you feel several emotions. She'll creep you out. Then she'll make you laugh and think she kind of cool.
No, see, that's what I'm talking about. I was hoping to have some of those moments. I never had that. She's kind of cool. Not even she's kind of cool.
There was a moment where she was actually kind of charming, a little bit funny, and I was like, now listen, I know she ain't gonna stay that way because we already know she's crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, for a moment, if you could just stay like this moment right here where I'm enjoying your company, we'd be good. But we can't because it's 824, you a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
But, everyone, tickets are finally on sale for the Double Toasted 11th year anniversary party, July 18th to the 20th. Get your tickets by going to Double Toasted 11th year anniversary party. Got my show coming up in New York. A night of sit-down comedy back at the Broadway Comedy Club. That's going to be June 27th. That's a Friday, 9:30 p.m. You can get your tickets by going to doubletoastedny.com. Bring her back. From these brothers who like to make titles with only 3 words.
Right. That's the thing.
Yeah, these are the Philippou brothers?
I think so.
Michael and Danny Philippou.
Man, it used to be the whole DGA. You got to decide who it's going to be. Now it's brothers directing stuff all the time.
All the time, man. You know, shit, I wish me and my brother got along.
Boy, make a crazy movie. Even A24 would be like, yeah, I don't know about this one.
You know what? All we'd have to do is just set the camera and just talk to each other.
Uh-huh.
You. Be beating up each other. Talking crazy the whole time. Yeah, maybe we should make a movie.
It'll be like The Accountant 3.
Except less organized and more stupid. Not as badass. Not killing anybody. Not leaving the house. But yeah, these guys, on the basis of one film, these guys have made me very excited to see what they do. Because that movie that I was talking about, Talk to Me, the year it came out, it was one of my favorite horror movies. Probably on my list of favorite movies that year.
What did the hand feel like?
It felt amazing. I could see and feel everything on the other side.
It's a very well-written movie. Wraps itself up very well. Mm-hmm. Very creepy. Very good idea, too.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's a very novel idea. Man, then I had my heart broken by these guys.
Oh, yeah?
Wasn't their fault, though, because they were supposed to make a Street Fighter movie next.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and see, the thing is, they started out doing films on YouTube.
Oh, that's right.
They started out doing action movies, and then they did, for them just kind of doing stuff in their backyard and doing it on a very, very cheap budget, they did an incredible parody of Street Fighter. And the fighting in that was amazing.
Looks like somebody needs a drink. Can I buy you a drink?
Maybe that's why I got canceled. a lot of hitting women in this. No, that was hilarious. And unfortunately, from what I heard, it got shut down.
Wow.
They had, I guess, creative differences between them and the studios.
You know, it's probably one of those things where the studio saw that and was like, man, we love this. This is what we want to do. And when they came in to make it, they were like, well, we want to make some changes and make it not so much that.
Yeah, you know that's what they did. You know, that's exactly what they did. Want to come in and make changes. I know that they had a different vision for it, and they probably want to do something like Mortal Kombat. Mm-hmm. And when one of the executives told them they couldn't do that, they probably get the studio, get him out! They're crazy.
You'll never work in this town again.
But hey, it's okay because now that project has been canceled, we're back to them doing what, judging by what we saw before, what they do best. And that is horror. They are blessing us with another horror film, and that is the movie we're talking about, which is Bring Her Back. And the story with this is that we have this girl, young Piper, and she has her adopted brother, Andy, who takes care of her, especially now that their father has died. And so now Andy's ready to be her guardian. But he's just not old enough, just shy of 18, just shy of 18. So they said, you know what, let us put her in foster care, and then you can get her back when, you come and get her, you try it again. And he's like, wait, we're not going together? And they said, no, because you kind of crazy.
You've done some things.
Yeah, you have a past. And the foster mom, Laura, has heard about that past, and she just don't want to deal with that. But somehow Andy's able to talk his way into going to stay with the foster mom, with Piper. And when he gets there, things already start out getting weird. And he soon learns the real reason why the foster mom, Laura, only wanted Piper. And as you might guess, it ain't for a good reason. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer for Bring Her Back. And as I said, I'm very excited for this film. I love these directors right here. When I heard that they were doing another horror project, I was very excited. So, how did it turn out? Let's take a look, and we'll be back with our review.
We can bring her back.
Also, one thing I failed to mention is that staying at the foster home is also a little boy, Oliver, I believe his name, whose behavior just gets stranger and stranger as the days go on.
He's a weird, freaky looking kid to begin with.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And his behavior is twice as much.
Yeah.
It's twice as weird as how he looks.
Why are you talking about me, boy? You know, this kid is, everything is weird at this house, and Oliver ain't helping at all. And it's like, you know what? I should just let that little ass go by itself. So, listen, we were just talking about, as far as horror movies go, we were just talking about what is the feel-good horror movie of the year.
Oh, boy.
Which is Final Destination Bloodlines.
Sure.
Man, this is if you haven't seen our review, go watch it. It was a fun review. We laughed throughout this whole movie. It is really one of the most fun experiences I've had this year at the theater. This movie's not.
It's the opposite of
Hell,
that.
I was watching this movie like he's looking at me right now. I just want to go home. Man, this is the opposite. This is one of the most depressing movies that I've seen this year. And, you know, when you have a movie that's dark and you have a movie that's depressing, such as this, some people kind of see it as an endurance test. You know what I mean? There's some kind of badge of honor in making it through a movie that just tries to crush your spirits and tries to get you down and shows you some of the most horrific things and challenges you to keep watching. You know, there's a badge of honor in watching that. There's an excitement in talking about it when you get out with other people that made it through.
Yeah.
And listen, I can too. I can do the same thing, and I've done it and I've enjoyed it. But I've done that when I felt like the things that they did that were messed up in that movie are necessary. And I did not feel like some of the things that they did in this movie that were really messed up and horrible, I did not feel like they were necessary. And just to tell you right now up front, there are many parts of this movie that I just downright hated. I did not like this movie at all, which is weird because I admire some parts of the movie very much.
I think that these boys are very effective filmmakers. And you know, young masters of their craft. They really know how to put this together, and they maintain that creepy, menacing mood with one thing after the next. I just wish I liked it. I really thought I was alone because everybody else in the theater. So I would put that caveat, like, look, if you're a horror fan or you especially like stuff that gets under your skin, don't listen to me. But for me, as effective as all this was, I just kept feeling like it's too much. It's too much of the not the gore, but just the stuff to being disturbing. It's too much, but not enough on everything that backs it up and builds to it. Like we jump in it, like I think a movie like this works when you can kind of be pulled in, a little bit seduced, where things seem okay. And then slowly build like, okay, that's kind of wrong. And this is kind of creepy. And then the more you go, it builds. From the beginning, you know things aren't right. And there's a lot of what is pet peevish for me where things are not right and people are not reacting to them the way a normal person was.
Yeah.
I've really felt the A24 in this. I mean, as much as I used to love A24, like, hey man, the movie might not be good, but it's always interesting. Lamb kind of turned me around to where I was like, you know what? They're willing to be weird just for the sake of doing it. Even like there's not even a real explanation for this.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing them doing that with movie after movie after movie.
Yeah.
And this kind of felt like part of that.
Yeah. I love Lamb. I love that movie. Beau is Afraid was probably kind of, and I still admire Beau is Afraid and really understand a lot of it. But with certain parts, I was like, this is too goddamn long to be this weird. It started turning me around. And so, now we get into that just weird to be weird area of A24. But I'm totally with you in that, man, look, I ain't mad. Look, these brothers, I ain't mad at you.
No.
When you say that they are masters at their craft, they are amazing filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
They are some of the, if you ask me, for guys who just have under their belt 2 films, that's some of the best filmmakers out there right now. Because and that's the thing. I don't want to knock the talent of these directors here. It's a well done film. And one of the reasons why I think it works for me when it does work is because the cast is incredible.
Yeah.
I ain't got to tell you about Sally Hawkins.
Yeah, no, they got a big score when they got her. Yeah.
She plays the stepmom of Laura, and she gives a really twisted performance in this movie. And what I like about her performance here is that when I say she's a twisted character, it's because she is very demented, but she also has you twisted and turning with your emotions on her. She'll make you feel several emotions. She'll creep you out. Then she'll make you laugh and think she kind of cool.
No, see, that's what I'm talking about. I was hoping to have some of those moments. I never had that. She's kind of cool. Not even she's kind of cool.
I never said that she's gonna be cool. I said if you could just. I know you're gonna do something weird after this, but for this single moment right here, we could just stay like that.
Yeah.
There was a moment where she was actually kind of charming, a little bit funny, and I was like, now listen, I know she ain't gonna stay that way because we already know she's crazy.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, for a moment, if you could just stay like this moment right here where I'm enjoying your company, we'd be good. But we can't because it's A24, you crazy bitch.
Yeah.
but I did laugh at some of the things she said, and then there was a lot of anger with her too. But for being creeped out and angered by this woman, ultimately, there was like some sadness with her too. And I think she's a very complex character. That's a complete mess. And, she's not just a one-note character that's meant for you to have one feeling about her. I mean, you're never going to love this character. You're never going to approve of what she's doing. But by the end of it, I mean, for all the atrocious things that she does, I felt sorry for her, man. I felt sad for her and angry at the same time. And that's because Hawkins is such a great actress that she handles whatever's thrown at her from that script, no matter how many crazy places it goes, and she throws that right back at you. Mm-hmm. And I thought she was amazing in here. But most of the time you're spending with actors that are very young. And that's what I was really impressed by. The big brother, Andy, is played by Billy Barrett. And he really does bring a maturity to his teen character. He's a kid that's had to actually, grow up.
Has to deal with a lot of stuff.
Grow up fast. And now that his father passed, he has to grow up even quicker. Mm-hmm. And now he has to protect his sister even more. And he has to do that while he's also trying to deal with his own guilt and hide that dark side of him to protect his sister. It's another complex character with a lot of layers to him. And I thought he was well written. But man, I'll tell you who I was impressed by the most. Piper. Was played by Sora Wong. Because her character's blind in the movie. And that's because she's blind in real life. Mm-hmm. I looked her up. She's got this condition I never heard of. She's got this condition called coloboma and microphthalmia. It just means that one eye works, one eye don't.
Oh, okay.
And the eye that's working, it barely works.
Yeah, not that good. She said all she could see is kind of shapes.
Yeah, she's very weak with vision in her right eye. And that left eye gone. Mm-hmm. it's blind. And
her being blind adds so much tension to all of what's going on.
It does. It does. It adds another layer of fear for her because you wonder, like, if something goes down, she ain't gonna be able to, she'll be bumping the walls and things trying to get out of there. But also, she handles her role with a lot of confidence too, man.
Yeah.
She's man, this little girl's a scene stealer right here. And she does it with hardly any effort.
Uh-huh.
Because when she comes, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, it's because she's blind.
No, that's not why.
Well, for me, I'll tell you why.
Because I think she could have not been blind and still gave such a good performance.
Well, I'll tell you why. Let me explain why I say this. Because when her character comes on, she's being bullied.
Yeah.
She got a cane, and brother got to hold her hand and, to walk her across the street. You feel sorry for her. But then as it goes on, she's so charismatic and still in scenes like, you're going to be all right. Girl, you're going to be all right. I ain't worried about nothing. You walk him around. Because he does some dumb things in the film that I think is just not even a part of this character. I just think it's just bad writing.
That's what I thought too, and that was one of the things that kept taking me out of the movie.
Yeah,
and because there's some things where you go like, well, he's a teenager, but that gets you only so far. There's certain things that for him to reach the age he has, especially with all he's dealt with, he would think his way out of certain things, or notice certain things, or react to certain things.
Yeah,
and especially to find out that he had a car the whole time, I was like, wait a minute. What's going on here?
Yeah, I would just say, I think you have a valid thing that everything that's going on, he could have drove off and did something, but that car just stood in the parking lot and he did nothing.
Yeah, I didn't know he had it until he got in it later. I was like, wait a goddamn minute.
He could be because he wanted to protect his sister, didn't want to leave her by herself too long, but that's me just trying to find a reason. And it makes me sad too, because I like them working together. I thought they would work very well together. Mm-hmm. and I love their characters, except when I thought that they were badly written. And the thing that really makes me, the parts of the movie that I hated, it's the horror element. It was a horror movie, and I hated the horror in here. Because let me just say this. I love some of the suspense in here. I love the psychological suspense that's going on. There was a lot of things that happened, like a lot of psychological drama, like a lot of psychological suspense. Those things I thought was so well done, and they make you squirm so much. The tension that keeps brewing between these characters as the movie goes on, you just waiting for this to blow at any moment. And I thought that was well done, and that kept me on edge. But the gore and the horror, not so much, man. That was just getting in the way of everything I loved, and and like I said, man, I found myself at first like, okay, this isn't working for me, but maybe it'll pick up. All right, this is not working for me at all, but I kind of find this interesting. Man, you can go to hell. This is bullshit. And I'll tell you why I think that the gore is not working, because, I just got a Final Destination. I don't have a problem with gore. I have a problem with gore even when it's done serious and disturbing. But so there's a supernatural element to this movie that's not explained. And normally I would appreciate that. It takes it leaves a lot for the audience to figure out. And when you have to leave things to the imagination, sometimes that makes it more frightening. Yeah. And unless I'm missing something here, because I don't think they explained at all what was going on with some of the horror stuff here and the supernatural stuff. Maybe a little bit. Yeah,
they explained a little bit. It's obscure. You pay attention, you get some of it, but you don't get a satisfying explanation.
Yeah.
You get enough to go like, well, I guess it's this. There's some movies where they get it to the point where they go like, well, what do you think happened?
Yeah,
I didn't write this. You did. I mean, what does it matter what I think? Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, you got the check to write the script, not me. You want me to work for free? Do your job. No, the lack of explanation for the supernatural here, the reason why I didn't like it is because it made it feel like the gore stuff that was in here, that lack of supernatural explanation was just an excuse for them to do gore effects.
Yes, that's what. Yeah, when you talked about it being unnecessary, it felt like an excuse. Because what we have here is a very tense psychological thriller, and on that level, it's working. But it's like there's some other elements saying like, yeah, but you got to make it weirder, and it's horror movies that sell, so you gotta throw in some horror elements and push it, because that's what's going to stick in people's mind and have them coming back again and again.
Yeah. Well, see, it's not only because they use the supernatural as an excuse to go in and do some gory effects. I could even get with that. It's just that it felt excessive. And what really got me, and this maybe this is me being sensitive. A lot of the violence and the gore that felt excessive happens to children, especially poor little Oliver right here.
Yeah.
You know, and when that happened, it just felt exploitive. It felt like, because we're committing all this violence and gore on a child.
Yeah.
We're shocking.
Yeah.
Can you endure? You know, I'm like,
right.
Okay, well, you know.
Yeah.
If there was a reason for them to do it that I felt like, then I would probably be on board. But maybe I'm missing something. I didn't see it. And we're talking about extended scenes of body harm.
Of mutilation.
Bodily mutilation on a child. You know, stuff with teeth, stuff with skin being ripped apart. You know, and like I said, all this is done with a kid, and I'm not trying to act like I'm too sensitive to watch something like that. I really can if I felt like it was necessary. I just did not feel like it was necessary.
Well, it's not just that. It's not just how could you do this to a child? I mean, nobody wants to see that happen to a child, but it felt very designed to, we're going to do this to the child to make you feel like this.
Yeah.
To make you feel bad. Because everybody walked out, even people, most people loving it, going like, I want to take a shower. I feel terrible after watching that.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it's simply the idea of violence against a child. If it's part of the story, I can get with that. That did not feel part of the story here.
Yeah.
It just felt like lingering moments of mutilation, just because, one, the gore looked cool. It was the practical effects were, and they are.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, they are. The practical effects look cool, but they were so long, man, and just seemed the camera just lingered on it for so long for no reason, that I felt like, what? Okay, so why are we doing this so long, and what purpose does it have for the story?
And that was the thing. Like, you talk about like a lack of explanation. There wasn't an explanation really for all that torture and mutilation to the child.
Yeah.
And you can go like, well, it's because of this. It's like, that's not enough. That you're kind of throwing out a vagary. You're almost throwing out something like, well, maybe it's this. And it's like, that's not a good reason.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I even called myself out. I was like, well, he didn't drive the car because look at he's stupid. I mean, I don't want to have to do it. I don't mind the movie putting out little clues and breadcrumbs and me putting the pieces together. That's not what was happening.
No.
There was some of the supernatural stuff. Yes, you put those clues together, you could see what's happening. Torture and mutilation on this kid, it's just like they just doing it because, all right, well, it looks cool and hey, we want to shock you.
We want to shock you. Yeah. There's also a thing where even with the antagonist and her plan, just looking at it, I was like, this could never work. Everything you're doing here, none of this is going to work. Like you're trying to achieve this goal. What happens after that?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're grown enough to know that this is not going to work.
Well, you know what? I'll give the movie this much credit. I think she was so insane at this point that she didn't even think it through that far.
Yeah, I know that's the whole thing. It's like, well, because she's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I really just thought like she wanted this one thing so bad that she didn't think that what was going to happen afterwards. I just want this.
Yeah.
Because she was doing a lot of stuff that was just kind of like, I don't care. I just want what I want. Because she did a lot of things that were going to get her ass in trouble anyway. Yeah. But she wasn't thinking that far.
Like even if this works, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, but she don't know that. My mind's too gone. They're so eager to throw in effects and gore that sometimes it didn't even make sense. And this is what I mean by bad writing or going against the character you set up. Andy, who's played by this kid here, Barrett. Oh, what's his name? Billy Barrett. So Andy he's a teenager, yes, but we see that he's a practical and smart kid.
Yeah.
He's been raising his sister pretty much all this long, by being a smart kid. But there's a scene in here where he does something with a knife, and you don't have to be a teenager, a grown person. A 10-year-old would know better than to do something like what he's doing right here, given the circumstances what we have. And The only reason why he does it is because, it leads to something gory. It leads to another effect.
Because what he's doing, I initially thought he was doing it on purpose to do something, dastardly, or just being, naughty. And I was like, oh, that wasn't what he was trying to do. No. It didn't make no sense for him to pull the knife for that.
No, it didn't. It was. When I see that, the only thing I can think of is that you just want an excuse to show some blood, some meat coming from somebody carving themselves up. Now, listen, I'll say if that's your thing, if you love seeing violence and gore that just makes your flesh crawl, you love seeing that kind of effect, then that's cool. I can deal with it too. Look, I'll go watch those damn Art the Clown movies.
Yeah, you love those.
Yeah, I can deal. Those are fun, and it's that stuff. I don't care what you say. That stuff is nothing but torture porn.
Yeah,
all right, but it's fun, so I can deal with it. But if you're in a more serious context, and again, you're doing it with no context or story, then that's where I get thrown out. And by the third act, they just start throwing in a horror movie cliches.
Yeah.
That the movie just becomes predictable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I know what's going to happen here. You're doing something dumb by yourself. Okay, well, what's going to happen? Oh, and then they just do a trope. Man, I just talked about this one thing that I hate.
I know.
But at least they did it in something comedic. They do it here in this serious movie. I'm like, I hate this.
Which was funny because so much of the audience was shocked by it. But I was like, this whole setup, everybody knows what's about to happen, right? And they were like, "Can you believe that?"
Yes, I can. It's a lot of interesting things here in this movie. I admire it. I really do. Some parts of it are brilliant.
Yeah.
The gore is really good if you're into that. Like I said, I just don't like it in the context of the story. But for me, those shocking scenes of gore, I hate it. It took me out the film. It just could be me being sensitive. And that's because children are involved, maybe. Sure, you can call me out on that. I don't know if that's for sure, but I'll take it. But I'm saying this because I'm like you. Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to me.
I don't want to discourage anybody from going to see this. There are enough good things in here that it just might be my sensibilities. You might love it. And I think there's a lot here to admire. I think there's a lot here to actually, a few things to love as far as the filmmaking goes. Still admire these brothers. Still a fan, but not a fan of this one particular movie. This is a low rental for me.
Oh, low rental.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
Should I go up rental?
I mean, I saw it as a rental. I mean, I guess for me personally, it would be a low rental, but
I see what you're saying.
But because of how the quality of the filmmaking, I think that raises it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the filmmaking is so good. I almost want to give it an even higher rating. But I come back to myself. I was like, I left this so it was a deficit for me because it was like, yeah, for all that's good, there's so much about it that rubs me the wrong way and things I think this should not be here. And somebody, I just kept wondering, like, if somebody other than A24 had picked this up, how might it have been then? I mean, maybe this is what their vision all along, but it just felt like there was some outside influence to it because the things don't match up.
Yeah. Well, they did admit to something tragic and personal happening to them.
Right.
And it had an influence on this movie. So,
yeah.
that
could be.
I'll go up a rental too. Like I said, man, I just because I hate parts of this doesn't mean that I can't see the good things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm interested to see what other people have to say. I really am. I'm not like I said, I'm hating on the movie, but I'm not hating on these guys, and I'm not hating on the movie overall. So yeah, it's just a rental for me. I'm like, look, if you want to be personal, it's bullshit. but
exactly.
Yeah, but
exactly.
It's not. It's I think they're doing some interesting things here, and I think despite my criticisms, that should be left up to you guys to see. Don't listen to me. You might be completely different going in.
Got to say, the best part of this movie to me was finding out that you felt like I did, because I really thought I was alone. And I was like, man, everybody else is loving this. I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah. I looked up, I said, man, who don't deal with bullshit? Martin, because I usually wait. We usually wait. Yeah. And I was sitting up here, I just couldn't help. I was like, hey, what you think about that movie? I need to talk to somebody. No, I'm not saying the movie's bullshit.
No,
not at all. No. But I did have to. I had to. I had to
get it out.
Vent. Yeah. I was glad you were there. Damn counseling right here.
Right?
Or would you look at that? You made it to the end of the video. That means you really like us. So just go ahead and press that like button and subscribe while you're at it. And check out our other channels, our social media like Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon where we have new stuff coming up all the time. And we'll see you on the next video.